morning to the Honorable Ministers of the Council, members of the media, online viewers, radio listeners via St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM, and respective radio stations island-wide. I'm Charity Duncan, and welcome to the Live Council of Ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. At this time, I'd like to invite the Honorable Minister of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sport, Dr. Anders Rudolph Samuel, to address you. Minister?
Good morning, and thank you, Ms. Duncan. Good morning, PM. Good morning to my colleagues who are here present at the moment and those on their way. Good morning to DCOM and to the members of the media. Good morning, St. Martin. Before I start, I would like to ask and take a moment of silence for the passing of our student, Juliana. Thank you. Last Saturday was a day that no parent should have to deal with. On behalf of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sports, I'm extending sincere condolences to the families, friends, school family, and friends of the student who lost her life on Saturday evening. We are shocked and saddened by this tragic incident, and there aren't enough words to comfort the family in times like these. I had the opportunity to visit the family of the deceased child and was able to convey words of condolences and sympathy to the mother and all who were there present on Sunday afternoon. Two families' lives are permanently changed. The Student Support Services Division Crisis Team, together with counselors from the various public schools, are currently providing crisis support to management, staff, and students of the St. Martin Vocational Training School in connection with this incident. On Monday, students' well-being was assessed to determine which students will require follow-up monitoring services and/or further counseling and therapeutic intervention services. On Tuesday, a separate session was held to assess staff well-being, and follow-up intervention services will be provided as deemed necessary. For the remainder of this week, the SSSD crisis team, along with the various counselors from the public schools, will be on site to provide direct support to all affected. Our children are our most precious resource, and we must continue to do everything within our power to give them every opportunity to have the brightest future possible. To the parents, family, school family, and friends of our students, once again, I offer our condolences, our sincere condolences, and support. Next item. This year, National Day of Prayer will take place on Sunday, January 9th, with the theme, Almighty God, let your culture of divine unity rule. The government of St. Martin, in collaboration with the St. Martin Christian Council, St. Martin United Ministerial Foundation, and the Seventh-day Adventist Church will host the National Day of Prayer. This Sunday, the entire community of St. Martin is invited to pray and worship on the National Day of Prayer at the Government Administration Building. Persons of all faith and religions are to pray for a prosperous and healthy new year for the nation. For persons who choose to or are not able to attend, the government of St. Martin is encouraging you to view and tune in to the live coverage of the National Day of Prayer, which will begin at 4:30 p.m. via the following media outlets: SXM GOV, Radio 107.9 FM, Facebook/SXM Gov, and Tel TV Channel 15. Thank you. I will also like to convey the following. Young adults on St. Martin who want to study at colleges and universities in the US, the Netherlands, or elsewhere can apply for study financing from the government of St. Martin from January 1st, 2022. Prospective student study financing recipients can visit the government official study financing website, studyfinancing-sxm.com, to learn about the full list of requirements to qualify for priority studies and the application process. Only applicants who are 18 to 26 and are of Dutch nationals have been residing on St. Martin for at least 5 years can receive funding for studies. Applicants must complete high school or high school equivalent by the time they intend to start their studies. Every applicant must register for and create an applicant account through the study financing portal at my.studyfinancing-sxm.com to submit their documents, which include a recent detailed registration form, proof of Dutch nationality, tax declaration, and proof of application/admission to chosen institutions. The 6 weeks application period ends on February 15, 2022. For more information, please contact Division Study Financing at info@studyfinancing-sxm.com and also the websites of the government. I will also like to indicate today that school have begun on Monday, with some schools requesting a delay in starting. We are monitoring the continuation of school together with the ongoing situation with the pandemic. And if it is possible, if it allows, within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will be able to make a decision on the way forward, depending on the situation. So we are monitoring the situation. We know that the health of everyone is very important, and we take this very seriously. So as we go along, we know that face-to-face and in-class instruction is the best for our students. So we will monitor within the coming week and the other 2 weeks to see how we will continue with education. I thank you. I await any questions.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister Samuel, for your opening remarks. At this time, I'd like to invite the Honorable Minister of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor, Omar Otley, to address you.
Good morning. Good morning to the members of the media. Good morning to the Prime Minister, my honorable colleagues. I first would like to wish everyone a happy and prosperous new year. I pray that God grants us strength, God grants us life, most of all, during these trying times. As of January 4th, CBS has reported 5,708 laboratory confirmed cases from the start of COVID-19. St. Martin is trending at 50 cases a day. We know that during the last couple of days, we have seen a spike of over 100 a day. As a matter of fact, yesterday had 213 confirmed cases. The hospital, we had 4. There were 2 discharged. I would like to make it clear that the information that we receive and disseminate to the public, because we want to do it in a timely fashion, we put a cutoff time of around 6:30 to 7. So all information received is up to 6:30 or 7 p.m. However, I was notified that there was some admittance after this time around 8 o'clock at the St. Martin Medical Center. However, this will be reflected in today's hospitalization, just for the sake of transparency. We also know that the travel requirements has changed to enter St. Martin as of January 1st. Just to break it down, persons that have received their booster shots within 2 weeks or more are allowed to travel to St. Martin without testing. All fully vaccinated persons with 2 shots or any of the accepted vaccinations will require testing, which is 48-hour PCR or a 24-hour antigen. Unvaccinated persons are required only 48-hour PCR tests to enter St. Martin. Persons 17 and under 17 to 5, that is considered fully vaccinated, they will not require testing as we do not administer boosters to under 18 at this time. We look at the latest even reports from Curacao, we saw that most persons infected are between 18 to 33 within the region. Some points that I would like to raise. I'm trying to put my stuff in order. There's so much to say, but the numbers are rising dramatically. It's on a steady increase. I have said this over and over. It is to be expected. The rate that Omicron spreads, it's something like we never seen before. It spreads at a 1 to 8, meaning one person can infect up to 8 persons, where the Delta had a 1 to 2 spread, and that was, phenomenal. I have never seen nothing like this in my life. Besides CPS numbers, we have seen many persons that conduct self-tests. Many persons. But what is disheartening to me is that I'm hearing so much stories of persons that conduct self-tests. They're positive, and they still report to work. They still go and interact with persons. And then when the numbers go up, these are the same persons that post the numbers, and I wouldn't even say the government, by extension, blame me, blame CPS. We are all responsible for our actions. We have been dealing with COVID-19. The reason it's 2019. We are now in 2022. I think we all know what to do. Yes, with a spread like this, it is inevitable, and some persons will contract the virus, and that's natural. That's understandable. But persons blatantly spreading the virus is not understandable and will not be accepted. Let us start to self-reflect. Let us start to look at each other. Now, we can call for scale back, we can call for shutdown, but then I can guarantee you, within 2 weeks of a shutdown, each and every reporter will be drilling the Prime Minister and drilling the Minister of Finance, asking, where are we going to get money from? Because as far as I know, we will receive no liquidity support for the first quarter of 2022 from the Netherlands. We have no more SSRP, we have no more food voucher programs. So we have to take employment also into consideration. Hence the reason we have come up with a phased approach to link hospitalizations with economic activity and scale back. This was announced on December 27th. Unfortunately, on January 2nd, we had 4 persons in the hospital. Therefore, we implemented phase 1, which will go into effect today. We will scale back 2 hours to 1 a.m. For those that missed it, once we have 4 to 7 persons in the hospital, we will scale to 1. If it should go under 4, like we see today, it has to maintain for a 2-week period minimum for us, the government, to consider going back to the regular time. If it goes 8 or higher, 8 being 50% of our capacity, hospital capacity, 40%, we would then go to 11 p.m. Reason for this, the numbers, active numbers, are expected to rise. It is expected to rise. And therefore, linking the economic activity to the active numbers can some form cripple our economy. We have to ask everyone to promote safety, promote guidelines. What is amazing to me is that there are few nightclubs, definitely, that uphold protocols. And I would like to publicly thank them. Lotus Nightclub, Mykonos, EXO Nightclubs, the Calabroom promoters. I would like to personally thank them because they have lost business tremendously. Because for some reason, persons don't want to test to go into these establishments. I saw for New Year's, there was a New Year's party at an establishment. And because they are going to test everyone, whether vaccinated or not, persons decided to go elsewhere. They tested 450 people and found 11 persons positive. And those 11 persons were not allowed to enter the establishment. But guess what? Because no one else is instituting a health pass, they were able to go somewhere else. See, we are in this together, whether you like it or not. We have open borders with the friend side. Friend side numbers are high. We may give our daily numbers in a different manner. We may be more transparent, however you want to look at it. But we are one island with open borders. We saw that there was a Juve on the friend side. And now we are surprised when we see numbers going up. I would like to advise everyone, please, those that are unvaccinated, if you are unvaccinated for medical reason, I understand. But those that are just unvaccinated to be, please consider being vaccinated. Look at the hospitalizations. Most of them, again, are unvaccinated. We're not saying that there won't be any hospitalizations of fully vaccinated, but at this moment, most of them are unvaccinated. Even those that have been vaccinated, I ask you to get your booster shot. The CDC, the Pfizer website, everyone has said that the booster offers a 25 times more protection than just your 2 vaccinations. I urge you, we are in this together. That's all I can say. We will continue to monitor the numbers, monitor hospitalization, and monitor the effects that it's having on not only the hospital, but on our police officers, firefighters, ambulance workers, and frontline workers. All of this will be added to the decisions that we make moving forward. I am trying my best to maintain balance as Minister of Health and Minister of Labor. But at some point, I'm asking the public to assist me to assist you. I look forward to any questions from the media.
Thank you, Minister Otley, for your opening remarks. At this time, I'd like to invite the Minister of Justice, Anna Richardson, please, for your opening remarks.
Prime Minister, colleague ministers, members of the press, DCOM, Ms. Dunker, and the listening and viewing public, a pleasant good morning, and a special good morning to our senior citizens. Firstly, I wish to bid a happy new year to one and all. I pray for the best for our nation. Though we may be small in size, on a daily basis, we are seriously dealing and facing big challenges and circumstances. It is with deep sadness that with just a few hours into the new year, our nation plummeted into grief and sadness in learning that a young teen had lost her life. Though it was a tough call to make, I spoke to her mother and I expressed my sympathy. I take this moment to once again express on behalf of my family, colleagues, and staff, our sincere condolences to the mother, siblings, family, friends, schoolmates, and school officials who knew and loved young Miss Salas. Youth violence, domestic violence, just violence on a whole is a harsh reality I wish to see cease to exist on what we call the Friendly Island. The ridiculing, the bullying, especially on social media platforms, the abusive behavior, the thieving, the illegal and harmful acts against others has rippling effects that negatively changes lives, and changes lives forever. The police of St. Martin has registered many successful cases in criminal investigation and enforcement of public order and safety for 2021. Some of these successes were achieved with the cooperation of assistance by the community of St. Martin, and we thank you for that. Reflecting on the increasing violence and thinking about the community, I, as Minister of Justice and the police force, calls on everyone to continue to work with officers for the betterment of the overall environment of St. Martin. We all need to do our part to protect our brothers and sisters, to be the keepers of our brothers and sisters, to be good neighbors. We have to remember and put into action the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And as such, be a community that is considerate of our youth and support efforts to care for them, for their safety and mental state. Focus is really needed on our youth. The police force has handled what it deems as way too many cases with young people. Young men and young women are involved in violent and risky behavior. Police officers are called to as the strong arm of the law. And this part of the matter needs to have serious societal checks and balances. We need to be able to assess what is affecting our youth and what is causing them to have the reactions they do. What is important is not how we started, but how we continue and how we end. While many are fighting for their lives in this pandemic, many has lost their lives to the virus. Some are taking steps to destroy even their own or that of others. Let us change the narrative. Let us have an attitude of gratitude and strive to be more positive thinking and acting members in our community. I am asking you to refrain from being harsh and unnecessarily cruel to others. I am asking parents to communicate and parent your children. I am asking communities to no longer turn a blind eye to wrongdoings or making a laughing spectacle out of serious matters. Find a way to lend a hand and save a life. Find a way to encourage positivism as opposed to fueling negativity. I'd like to be able to touch on the fact that the personnel of the Ministry of Justice have for many years walked a long and disappointing or often disappointing road of uncertainty and stagnation. However, as of December 20th, 2021, the sentiment and reality of disappointment was finally laid to rest. As of that date, the approval and signature of His Excellency the Governor, Dr. Andes Eugene Holliday, and I, as Minister of Justice, announced the position of the agencies of law enforcement of St. Martin are now officially established by the function book. This is the reality for all departments recognized in the existing LEOL. There are a few additional legislative steps that are necessary, such as to incorporate other agencies such as the Court of Guardianship and a few others. Nevertheless, St. Martin's Ministry of Justice has now officially and legally established a function book throughout its corresponding departments. This is and will remain a major milestone and celebratory moment for all justice workers. As part of the process, the Ombudsman is now in possession of the function book for a review and shall execute same within a 6-week window. Thank you for your patience to the staff of the Ministry of Justice, and congratulations to all of you who continue to selflessly provide the community with unwavering commitment and dedication in ensuring the people of St. Martin get the best service this ministry can offer. I move on to cover some developments that occurred on December 14th. The operation of human smuggling is plaguing the world, and St. Martin is no exception. The Dutch Coast Guard received a distress call on December 14th that a vessel was having engine problems near Saba. After receiving the request, the Coast Guard immediately dispatched the cutter, which is one of their vessels, by the name of the Puma, in order to rescue the passengers. The Puma then towed the vessel with 27 persons on board to St. Martin. All persons on board were taken into custody by authorities for a thorough investigation to be conducted. It was ascertained that this vessel had set sail from the island of Dominica, destined for St. Martin, with the intentions to smuggle these persons into St. Martin. These persons all hold the nationality of Haitian or Haitian nationality. At least 22 of these persons were turned over to the Immigration Department, who have since deported the majority of these persons, with a few remaining. Cases of such nature is not uncommon to St. Martin, as we have dealt with human trafficking and smuggling cases in the past. However, it must be noted that if caught committing such a crime, persons will be incarcerated pending deportation or prosecution. The Department of Immigration would like to remind the public that they have recently launched their online residence permit application process. This is a step in the right direction as the government seeks to have the majority of our processes and procedures done digitally. A link and video demonstration of how to apply for residence permit can be found on the government's website, the website of the Ministry of Justice, and on our Facebook pages. A little bit additional news or notices from the Immigration Department relates to the fact that as per January 1st, 2022, there will no longer be reimbursements of denied applications. Nowhere in the law stipulates that this is allowed. and so it has been discontinued. Lastly, the Immigration Department has seen an increase in the number of applications that are granted but never picked up as such, and never picked up despite calls and notifications being rendered. As such, as per January 1st as well, you have a 2-month window. Applications that are approved and are not received by the applicants will then have a change decision to denied and will be discarded. As this is within the guidelines where it stipulates the person shows a lack of interest. That is all for now for me, Ms. Dunker, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Minister Anna Richardson, for your opening remarks. At this time, I'd like to invite the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister of General Affairs for your opening remarks. Prime Minister.
Thank you so much, Charity. Good morning to you. Good morning to the members of the press, those in the room as well as those following. Good morning to my honorable colleagues here with me as we take part in this first Council of Ministers press briefing for 2022. It is with gratitude that we are all who are here present and alive this morning are able to be here. It is with gratitude that despite whatever challenges we may individually or collectively be facing, that we are alive another day to go at it, to give it a good try and to try to overcome these challenges. 2021 has been a year filled with ups and downs, challenges as well as successes. And so we can stay and focus on what is negative, what is not going well in the world and on St. Martin. But the more we dwell on the negativity, as my colleague ministers say, the deeper we find ourselves in the quicksand of misery. I have found that over these past 2 years, the lessons that I have learned in dealing with COVID-19, being at the helm of that at the beginning when we didn't know what we were dealing with, was that positivity helps. Encouragement works. And despite how we may be feeling, and this is something that I've taken from my days as a teacher, no matter how the day may go, you wake up the next day to try again because you are affecting lives on a daily basis. And so now from a classroom of 25 to 30 students, the responsibility on this Council of Ministers lies for the 60,000 plus persons that are residing here. And it is with the knowledge of that responsibility that we take the time each week to come to you, to keep you informed, but also to encourage you. Because the condolences that have been brought by my colleagues as the ones, Ministers ECYS and Justice, who are in the trenches with their departments and ministries in dealing with these challenges that we face, especially with the mental and emotional challenges of our youth in our schools and on the streets. It is something that we, as a community, are also going to have to say, hey, what can we do about it? The loss of a young life is always tragic. And so I add my condolences to those already echoed. And I wish the families, both families, and all the friends, all the schools, schoolmates, those who just knew them casually, those who may have seen them playing in that area, hanging out, much strength in dealing with this loss. A loss in this manner, when it is done violently, also not just negatively affects the family and friends of all who were connected to the victim, but also to the perpetrator. And so we must not lose sight of that fact. This in turn can continue to have a negative effect on a wider spectrum of our community. In times of tragedy, in times of turmoil, I look for the lessons. Nothing can be done to bring back the life that has been lost, but we can do much to ensure that others are not falling victim to a similar fate. I pray for peace for the families who are involved, as well as those who look now on their children with a renewed hope that we cannot give up on them. Every step taken in a positive direction is a chance to change a life, and sometimes it's a cry for attention. So I ask you, as parents, first of all, responsible for your children, give them that necessary attention, even when we as parents are feeling the pinch. We cannot take it out on their vulnerable lives. They did not ask to be here. So the first responsibility is by the parents. And then I look to our government organizations, the schools, the youth organizations, the community services that we offer, the after-school programs. And though we're in COVID, and I know that the lockdown and the being out of school, etc., also made it difficult for children to access some of these services, we're happy that we are able to still have face-to-face learning where the social workers, the psychologists are all able to do their work. But again, there is assistance available to those families, but also to others. And the Department of SSSD, as the Minister of Education mentioned, is available, and you can find their contact numbers on government's website. Of course, Social Affairs under the Ministry of VSA also has different departments that can assist and deal when we have challenges. I think part of our problem as a community is pride, that good old St. Martin pride. It's part of our culture. We don't want people in our business. We don't want to ask for help. But around the world, we are seeing that mental health does not have to be the stigma that has been attached to it for decades. All of us go through challenges. All of us have coping mechanisms, and sometimes these coping mechanisms that might work for one may not work for the other. So I pray that we identify, stop, reflect when we need assistance and seek that assistance. I trust that all of the necessary organizations out there, churches as well, play a big role in offering that social support and also counseling to families, and all of them who are also dealing with the challenges of COVID, the loss of income, the loss of jobs, the stress of how to provide for your families. And the world is looking at how we deal with this. And so as St. Martin, though we are small, and the minister mentioned, we do have all the world's problems on this 37 square miles. So take the time to stop, reflect, inhale, exhale, and find solutions together with others who are facing some of the same challenges. Government remains open and ready to assist all those who may be in need of the necessary counseling for grief as well as trauma at this time. I must, as Minister of General Affairs and Leader of Government, also congratulate the newly, let's call it, to be sworn in government of the Netherlands. We received some notification. We will welcome the new ministers once that cabinet is sworn in as planned on the 10th of January. Congratulations to the sitting Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, on his newly appointed cabinet. And as government of St. Martin, we have been, let's call it, in the trenches, and we've seen the ups and downs where our relations are concerned. And we look forward to, with the wind of change blowing in, that equitable, transparent, and open communication will lead to even better things for the people of St. Martin as well. Dialogue will continue, and we foresee that we can work towards improving our relationship even more. I have seen that during 2021, especially, that we have been able to build some bridges, and several of the political parties that were open to listen to the government of St. Martin as well as Aruba and Curacao are now forming or have a larger say in the new government. So we look towards repairing some of the damage that has been caused over the past years. It takes two to tango, and we're looking forward to improved communications, improved negotiations towards fair treatment for the people of St. Martin as we all struggle, as the world does right now, with the economic downturn as a result of the pandemic. Also in, let's call it kingdom/regional relations with our partners in the north, we were able to have a meeting early on Monday to discuss the COVID situation on both sides. There was a goal that we would be able to synchronize some of our measures. As you know, the French side does have to follow a lot of the protocols as France. And so they will be also instituting some changes as of today as well. While we're not totally synchronized, we continue to collaborate and cooperate, have the discussions, because as countries, tiny countries, we both see the need for economic development and will continue to do so as safely as possible. So the Minister of Health has already mentioned that we have scaled back to 1 a.m. and will continue to monitor. Our numbers have risen as expected. We have instituted some of the measures also recommended by the RIVM, but not all of the measures are able to be done exactly as it is in the Netherlands. Also because we're not being presented with the same dilemmas and challenges, especially where hospitalization is concerned. So for that, we are grateful, despite being in this position where we have the most numbers that we've had to date that are logged. We know there are probably even more persons out there who are infected. And as the Minister of Health mentioned, back in 2020, everybody laughed about a video that went viral when I said stop moving. But at the end of the day, that was with the frustrations, not having any way to deal with what is going on. And at the end of the day, it stopped the virus. Over the past 2 years, we've learned that instead of stopping our movement, we can move smarter. And that has been what I've been saying since then. Moving smart means wearing your mask at all times. Right now, you cannot trust that someone who is not symptomatic isn't contagious. You cannot trust that. If you're vaccinated and boosted, you have a lesser chance of getting seriously or deathly ill. However, mitigating the spread allows us to remain as economically viable as possible. So that should be the goal of St. Martin. Yes, we can be happy that we are keeping our hospitalization numbers low so far. We thank God for that, and we hope that it continues that way. But as the spread continues, it can still negatively affect services on the island. So I'm asking the people of St. Martin for us all to do our due diligence. We would like the children to remain in school. We would like to be able to go to work, earn a living, as we're seeing that 2 years down the line, there are serious social economic challenges that the family is feeling. This is now negatively impacting individuals and families where you're going to see even more negative effects unless we can bring back life and livelihoods to our people. So as government, I urge you to wear your masks at all time, step up your sanitization as you've done in the past, and stay out of places where you cannot properly social distance, especially locations where mandatory testing, especially when you can't social distance, testing is the way to go. So I would like to promote with the employers of St. Martin. You already have the mandate to be able to request testing to ensure that your facility is a safe one. I would suggest, especially for your employees, that you do that. This way, moving about will be safer. Persons who are not vaccinated, I encourage you, go out and get the vaccine. I'm vaccinated. I've received the booster. I have minimal pain. And up to now, I must say, thank God, I've been able to keep myself and my family safe. We gathered for the holidays, but we ate outside. And anytime anyone had to go inside, you had to wear your mask. Anytime you were dishing out food, you had to wear your mask. Washing hands, sanitizing. It is up to each and every one of us to keep ourselves and our families safe and to stay away from situations that can create havoc. That's all we can say at this time. We can put measures in place. We can go to a lockdown state, but how would that help us in the long run? It just sets us back much more. So as the virus spreads, naturally, it's also flu season. So several people are also just having a normal flu. But how do you know the difference? You must test. So I encourage you to know your status. There are self-tests available. You can also, of course, go to CPS, but know your status. And if you are contagious, whether it's the regular flu or COVID-19, you should isolate yourself to maintain a regular health within the community. With that being said, I would like to thank the people of St. Martin for your patience I would like to thank you for your diligence, because there are many doing the right thing. And even with doing the right thing, you still have the opportunity to contract COVID-19. So with more of us doing what we have to do, keeping safe, isolating when contagious, we will get through this new phase again, and stand strong, because at the end of the day, we have no choice. And gratitude in all things, looking at the positive side, helps us to be able to deal with the challenges better, helps us to encourage someone else who may be feeling that they cannot anymore. So reach out, lend a helping hand, be a real neighbor, as we used to be here on St. Martin. Look out for each other, help with groceries if necessary, if that person cannot get out of the house due to being in isolation. And in that way, we will get out of this much faster. Thank you for the opportunity, Charity, and I look forward to any questions that may come forth.
Thank you, Prime Minister Jacobs, for your opening remarks. The Honorable Minister of Finance is present, however, will not be making any opening statements, but is available for any questions that the members of the media may have. We now move on to the question and answer round. Also, I'd like to remind members of the media, due to time constraints and also extensive media presence, we will hopefully only be able to host one round of questions, and also I'd like to encourage you to keep your questions concise and to the point. I now welcome the member of media, Ms. Bibi Shaw of SMN News, to the floor.
Good morning, Charity, and thank you. Happy New Year's to everyone, colleagues and ministers. Since we have one question, I'll direct my question to the Minister of Education. Minister Samuel, there have been a number of rumors around the place stating that the head of the study financing department have been on suspension. I'd like to ask if you can confirm or deny this. And also, Minister, can you also address the situation with students that are in limbo because of this suspension and the amount of students returning to the island since the shutdown in the Netherlands? We're hearing that these students are thinking of not returning to the Netherlands. Have there been any follow-up from the department?
Thank you, Bibi, for the question. I would like to start with the last part first. Rumors about students returning from the Netherlands and not returning back. I have not heard anything absolutely about that. A student has also a responsibility on the side of the student that if the student wishes to discontinue the study, the student know that they would then have to inform the ministry of their decision. So I have not heard anything absolutely about a student or students returning from the Netherlands and not returning back to their study. In regards to the head of the division study financing, I have been informed that the head of division study financing has sent a letter that he's not feeling ill, and the letter is from his doctor, and that he is on sick leave until a certain date. And the division study financing is being manned at the moment by someone else, something that happens regularly within the ministry. If one manager is not feeling ill or is on sick leave for whatever reason, then that division or that department is manned by someone else. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Samuel, and also thank you, Bibi Shaw of SMN News, for your question. I now move on to the member of media, Ms. Daniela De Wint from the Daily Herald, for your opening remarks. You have the floor.
Thank you, everyone, and Happy New Year and good morning. I would like to direct my question to Minister Otley. The CDC has shortened the recommended isolation and quarantine period down to 5 days. I was wondering if your ministry has received any similar recommendations from the RIVM.
Thank you, Ms. DeWint. No, we have not received any similar instructions from the RIVM, but however, we are looking into the possibilities of 1 week. Very important. CDC shortened their period to 5 days with the recommendation that the person have to wear a mask for the next 5 days. We have to weigh our options, know that if people will actually comply. That's the reason we, at this moment, kept to 10 days, just to be sure. So if a person doesn't want to comply with the mask wearing, then we are sure that that person will not further spread the virus. But we are looking into a week period. The main point is the last genotype that we had, it was from 2 weeks ago, and it showed 52% Delta, 48 Omicron. We are awaiting the new genotype results. Once it's predominantly Omicron, then we can look into possibly shortening the period. As at this point, we don't know if some persons are still being infected with the Delta variant.
Thank you, Minister Omar Otley, and also thank you, Daniela, for your question. Mr. Stephen Cerillion of PJ82, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Doctor. Good morning to you, Prime Minister. Ministers, good morning to you as well. My question is for the Minister of ECYS, Dr. Anders Rudolph Samuel. You said that several schools have requested that there is a delay in their resuming school activities. How many schools are we referring to here, and who are the schools? And secondly, what kind of capacity is reported since school resumed recently?
Thank you, Stephen. So far, I have received from, I think it's the Charlotte Brookson Academy, and we have also received reports, I think, about the FAVE Foundation, that they have not resumed school in its entirety, and the division and the ministry who is responsible for assessing whether or not they want an extension to stay closed for whatever reason, this is being handled. We can imagine that with the spread of the virus, that many persons could be affected, but school began on Monday, and today's Wednesday. It's only 3 days. So we are in a community, and as the minister and everyone understands, I know that the virus can affect persons. So if persons are affected, then the school will have to make a decision, and they will have to inform the minister of such. I believe by next week, I will have a good oversight as to the situation. 3 days is not enough to say, well, this is the trend and this is where we are going. And I hope, and as my colleagues have indicated, we, the adults, have to also take responsibility for ourselves. We, the adults, can make that decision to protect ourselves as much as possible. Face-to-face instruction, in-class instruction is the best thing for our students. And we must do whatever we know is possible in order to keep this going and not disrupt it. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister Samuel, and also thank you, Stephen, for your question. I now invite Mr. Lyndon Brown of BCN TV. You have the floor.
Good morning to the people of St. Martin. And I also join with Mr. Minister Samuel of sending his condolence to the passing of the Dominican National. Now, question is to Minister of Justice. Minister of Justice, can you be more explicit on the function books? You mentioned that the hurdle is just about over. Now, there are different aspects to the function book. What is the greatest concern, Minister? Can you explain the financial aspect? What is due to the law enforcement officers? How soon that will come to maturity?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. With regards to the financial aspect, I reserve the opportunity to be able to give a complete presentation in our upcoming budget debate. I think we should be returning to Parliament sometime within the teens of the month, and a complete presentation is being put together that will give quite a breakdown as to what all is involved. As I've indicated before, SORB is one of our partners in being able to develop and identify exactly what the total sum is. We have reserved the $2 million that we were to do so for the other 50% of compensation to be rendered to the staff of justice who are entitled to such. So that aspect is already reserved. But when it comes to anything linked to placements, compensation amounts, salary scales, etc., all of that will be delivered in my presentation upcoming in about a week or so in Parliament. So I ask you for your patience to be able to deliver that at that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister of Justice, and also thank you, Lyndon, for your questions. I would like to thank the members of the media for joining us and being a part of the press briefing for today. And again, if you have any further questions, do be sure to post those questions forward to the respective cabinets of the ministers. Honorable ministers of the council, members of the media, and online viewers, also radio listeners, this brings us to the end of the live council ministers press briefing for today, Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. For rebroadcast, be sure to tune into St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM and also Tell TV Plus. For video on demand, log on to the official government website, which is at Government of St. Martin, and also Facebook and YouTube channel, Government of St. Martin and TV 15. On behalf of the Department of Communication and the Government of St. Martin, I am Charity Dunker, bidding you all a pleasant day further.